Thomas Massie, my favorite members of Congress. He loves the Constitution. He loves liberty. He's honest and he's tough, and he's going to really go after the intel agencies, who's just terrific, from Kentucky.
That was their hero, Charlie Kirk, talking about someone he loved, Thomas Massie, who just got his ass beat, folks, not in the general, but in a primary. And Thomas Massie has proven to be one of those Republicans who stands for a lot of what Charlie Kirk was claiming that he stood for, but we all know that they be lying about the stuff they claim they stand for. And so in this video today, folks, Politics of Being Black, we're going to discuss the defeat of Thomas Massie and what it means. Pretty much what I've been telling y'all. What's more dangerous to us is not Trump and the politicians, but the people who vote for the banana in the tailpipe pushed by those politicians. We've also got what exactly, folks, is going on, goodness gracious, with Ted Cruz. Senator Raphael, I wish he was a Ninja Turtle and not a real politician, Cruz. He is just shucking and jiving in a way you would think his ass is playing dodgeball. We got that. And the main story we're going to cover, folks, someone who looked like they was a decent billionaire, Mark Cuban, came out, stuck his foot in his mouth, did an embarrassing little thing with Trump yesterday, and then had the audacity, because he had a chip on his shoulder, some insecurities about it, rail on Twitter or whatever the handle was. All that and so much more. We get started right now.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that pull. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You're in the building with the all knowing, all loving, all feeling, all seeing, all powerful, all woke, all DEI. Just damn all everything, sexy as hell, host of this channel, me, Lamont Tyson. And what do we do here on my channel, ladies and gentlemen? We debunk the myths put in society by mighty whitey rich Republicans and the colonizers that have been holding the average person at bay because they have been disillusioned by all these things they're supposed to feel good about, which are nothing but symbols, while those people who put those things in place run away with all the riches and the money of the world. We break those down through examples that are predetermined from what goes on in politics day to day. And first thing we're going to get into, folks, Senator Ted Cruz. Lord have mercy. First of all, not to mention that he looks like something that should be on Sesame Street. You know, not to mention that. Not to mention his name is Raphael, but he doesn't want to have anything to do with his heritage. He wants to look as much as he can like a white guy as possible, right? Ted Cruz, the same guy that whenever a natural disaster hits Texas, him and his family hop their asses on the plane and go somewhere far away from the natural disaster. Well, TMZ caught him and asked him about this slush fund being given to the January 6th rioters. Mind you, folks, the Republican Party, the party that claims they are about Christianity, the party that manipulates people into believing they're about law and order, they're about supporting the police, they're about supporting the military, and all this other fundamental horse shit that they be lying to people about, but they somehow are able to get these people to believe it. Well, listen to what he had to say about this slush fund being created by Donald Trump, a man who called his wife ugly, nonetheless. Take a look.
I'm a little concerned that January 6 rioters, violent January 6 rioters who were convicted and then pardoned, I'm a little worried that they're going to be entitled to taxpayer money, that money's going to come out of my pocket and go into their pockets. Do you think violent, convicted and then pardoned January 6 rioters, do you think they should be eligible for this sort of slush fund?
You know, I'm not surprised you're worried about that, but I'm curious, were you worried at all when Joe Biden was weaponizing the Department of Justice?
I don't want to talk about Joe Biden, sir.
I know you don't. I understand you got a political agenda.
No, I don't. I just don't want to pay January 6 rioters.
Look, I get. You get to ask a question.
Can you
I get
answer?
to give the answer. I'm giving you my answer.
Okay.
Which is that you were not remotely concerned when Joe Biden weaponized the Department of Justice.
Gotcha.
To go after his political opponents to prosecute them, to go after Donald Trump. Trump was indicted not once, 4 separate times. It was the greatest abuse of the rule of law in our nation's history.
Do you think January 6 rioters should be eligible for this money? Yes or no?
I think what the Biden Justice Department did is they prosecuted people who engaged in peaceful protest. I believe...
I'm not talking about Biden.
But, you know, if you want me to answer, let me answer.
Okay, sure.
I believe people who engage in active violence should be prosecuted and face consequences. I believe people who engage in peaceful protest are protected under the First Amendment. And I think the Biden Department of Justice deliberately targeted people who engage in peaceful protests.
So yes or no to my question?
And by the way, I wrote an entire book on this entitled Justice Corrupted, How the Left Weaponized Legal System.
Please just answer my question.
And why are you not concerned about the abuse of power?
Because I'm concerned about this today.
I know, you're concerned about it.
So you won't answer the question?
Your political agenda
is no agenda. Are you going to answer the question, sir?
I have answered your question.
You didn't.
It's just not consistent.
Do you think the January 6 rioters are eligible for the slush fund? Thanks, Ted.
What the fuck are you thanking him for? You got nothing. He is sitting here going back to Biden, which is that's their main deflection point. Go back to Biden. Biden is not in office right now. Biden is doing nothing right now. Talk about what your president is doing right now. He's calling it political. It is political. A Republican president is getting ready to reward lawbreakers with $1 billion, and black folks who was killed, maimed, and turned into slaves. We ain't got nothing. And y'all wouldn't even approach the conversation of reparations for us, but all of a sudden, people who broke the law are getting rewarded for it. And basically what this slush fund is doing, ladies and gentlemen, is signaling to other people who are that depraved, who are that crazy and demented, that in these upcoming elections, if you want to storm your capital, your state's capital, if you want to come storm the voting box wherever you live, if you get arrested, which these people did, I will have your back as Trump. And not only will I get you out of jail, but I will pay you for it. Ted Cruz is up here talking about why don't we look at Biden and how he went after peaceful protesters. And Republicans are the masters of being used car salesmen, because the people that they talk to have no sense. They're not educated and they don't want to be educated. And Republicans don't want an educated body of people in America because it makes you more susceptible for the banana in the fucking tailpipe. And it just makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that people are so undereducated that they are willing to give away their own personal freedoms because they don't want to look deeper. Everybody Biden prosecuted was on video doing something violent. What about the police that they hurt? Teddy, Raphael, what about them? What about, you said Biden corruption? What about the corruption of your own president letting many of those January 6 rioters out? Same people go back to jail because they messing around with little girls. And now you're about to pay to reward this type of behavior. Teddy Raphael Cruz, go back to Canada. Stay away. There was one point in time you were more hated than Trump, believe it or not, because your charisma is like that of a cactus in Phoenix. And now I'm starting to feel like you're taking a back seat because you want to become president. You've seen what Trump has been able to get away with, and you're complicit in this. This man talked about your wife. You are a lawyer yourself, Ted Cruz. You know good and damn well laws was broken. You know that these dudes in there pooping on Nancy Pelosi's desk. And you're okay. You're only okay because you see how Trump is trying to solidify power for Republicans. And I'm going to need every Democrat that can hear the sound of my voice that has power in a state level, on a federal level. You need to be having your National Guard prepared for these type of buffoons. And this time when they come trying to climb up Capitol buildings and shit like that, you need to treat them the way you would treat black folks. You need to start mowing them down. Take it how you want it. Whether you do it with a lawnmower, whether you do it with a hacksaw, If they are trying to hurt people, killing people, breaking into Capitol buildings with the dangerous intent, they need to not only be locked up, but they need to be defended to the highest potential of threat. Because last I checked, the laws on the books say that insurrection against the Capitol and state are the highest laws on the books. They rank up there with RAPE. They rank up there with breaking and entering with a weapon. They rank up there with terrorism because it is terrorism in-house. So what do I have to say to Ted Cruz and anybody that support him? F you. You don't care about democracy. You only care about upholding power. And if you don't have power and you're supporting this, you care about upholding stupidity. Next thing, moving right along, just ridiculous. Oh boy, Thomas Massie, ladies and gentlemen. Let me put his picture up here. He was one Republican, folks, who actually stood up to the mantra that most Republicans stand for, which is supposed to be law and order, which is supposed to be upholding the Constitution, small government, not blowing up the deficit, all those good things. And he was actually doing that, ladies and gentlemen. He was trying to hold Trump and Republicans accountable that are in the Epstein's files. All the spending Trump is doing, he was telling his boys, look, this is not what we're about. And if you missed what I played in the beginning of the video, Charlie Kirk even came out and said that Thomas Massie was one of his favorite Republicans. Huh. Sounds good, don't it? His ass lost in the primary. Not the general, the primary. And he lost, ladies and gentlemen, because of what I continuously say each and every day. We cannot be just simply afraid of the politicians. We have to be afraid of the buffoons that want to put these type of politicians in power. AIPAC, Trump-supported Republican beat Thomas Massie because Thomas Massie knows good and damn well how high this Epstein file goes up, from business leaders to Republicans in it, and he ain't in it. So he was standing pat on it. Take a look at his recession speech yesterday, and then we'll get a look at some of the fanfare and fallout, because people are starting to wake up and realize what I've been telling y'all. The more dangerous folks are the people that vote for this stupidity. Take a look at Thomas Massie.
I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way. I mean, we stirred up something. There is a yearning in this country for somebody who will vote for principles over party. What's your name? Dom Hudson.
Scott, you met my wife earlier.
Oh, okay.
I want to thank President Trump for his support.
This is frustrating to a lot of people on so many levels, because the very fundamental of my channel is that the myth that has been put in place by rich white people and the colonizers, that what makes you an American is if you love your country, that you help thy fellow neighbors, you have some belief to some Bible or something like that, you support the troops. All these Republican put in place mantras, you support the military, you put your hand on your heart for the flag, all that bullshit, and you about law and order. That is being turned on its head, and people that are intelligent enough to see that that has all been a lie can't understand why people still vote for Trump and his acolytes, because they're dumb. They don't want law and order. They just want power. What is it the saying I do on this channel every day, ladies and gentlemen? There are plenty of people who are willing to vote for hate over food on their plate, meaning that they are ready and willing to vote for the symbolism of hating somebody else, even if it costs them money, which is what the Trump administration is doing. They're willing to see these people break laws if they can continue to see Trump give them the hate that they want. Thomas Massie is a real American hero. He did put he did put principle, Constitution over party. And he lost. As a matter of fact, every Republican that has done that has lost. From Adam Kinzinger to what was Halliburton's daughter. I can't think of her name right now. And these people, folks, are what Democrats used to call extremists. They're not even center no more. They're literally left now, and they're losing. People, we have a problem. And not to mention, Thomas Massie's state has a Democratic governor who is all about the Bible and says those things. I don't know how he won, but hopefully he'll win again. But this is not a good precedent, ladies and gentlemen. This is not a good look. Democrats have got more work to do if Thomas Massie lost in his state. Thomas Massie is a good dude. I have a whole playlist dedicated to Thomas Massie. He's a good dude, and he lost. Now, we could get into the nuances of super PAC money and all that, but at the end of the day, the people voted for Thomas Massie not once, couple of times. They knew who he was, and they voted against him not just because of super PAC money. They voted against him because they want to continue to see the Stockholm Syndrome shit that's going on with Trump continue to happen. They don't want no accountability to Trump. They want the racism. They want the cruelty. They don't want the truth to come out in the Epstein files because they are afraid that their heroes are child apists, and then they would have to confront their own insecurity of walking around in America, letting people know that they triple Trump and voted for people that supported Trump. And they don't want that. So we keep hiding it, and we keep voting for bull jive that's going to not help put food on our plate, but instill hate. Post your comments, folks. But before we do, let's just kind of see how some Democrats reacted to this fallout from Thomas Massie. It's sad. Take a look.
We live in hell. We live in hell. I'm so angry right now. I don't even know where to start. Thomas Massie just lost his primary race in Kentucky. Thomas Massie is one of the few Republicans who has stood unwaveringly against the survivors and victims from Epstein and the Epstein class. He has been a hero in making the Epstein files a story that will not go away and a cover-up that will not go away in this administration, to the point that the president took his time and his energy and his fucking fat little fingers and put them on the scale of Massie's race. He handpicked a candidate to run against Massie, the incumbent, in his primary. Tens of millions of dollars spent, and they beat him. And the reason I am so upset right now, I'm literally crying on the streets of Manhattan, is because this is the system that they are protecting. They are protecting the system that protects pedophiles and sexual abusers and misogyny and literal evil among us. And Thomas Massie is not someone I agree with politically on practically anything. But you know where he drew a line? He drew a line on raping children. He drew a line on raping young girls. He drew a line on trafficking of children and young girls. That's where he drew a line. And he was on the side of a lot of Trump supporters in drawing that line. Trump supporters who are never going back to Trump, but Trump doesn't care. And now he's lost his job as a representative of his constituency, who he represented. We live fucking hell.
I'm not going to go as far as saying we live in hell, because I don't believe in higher powers and all that anyway. But I will say we're living in an era where Democrats have not done enough to stop what the result is of what's going on in this country right now. Make no mistake, people, voting matters. The problem with voting is that all this money from Citizens United that has been flooded into our politics hinders us getting the best candidates, because you are basically allowed to buy a candidate. And this is why I always say rich people's vote count more than the average American. Because if you're rich, you're allowed to basically purchase the candidate you want. People who don't have that kind of money, we don't have that choice. Then once you get that candidate that you want, you're able to set the agenda that he's going to go by because you got the money. And then everybody else that doesn't have the money have to hope that their agendas align with said candidate that was bought by the rich person, who then gets to go vote on the person. See how that works? So while I understand why we have conspiracy theorists out here who believe that voting doesn't count and that there's a bigger machine behind voting, which it is, called money, voting still matters. It's just that we've got to get enough people to vote against the machine that is pulling the strings and putting the puppets in place that we have to vote for. Because we've got a lot of Democrats that are funded by AIPAC. And a lot of us don't want to vote for those guys, but we don't want to keep voting for Trump and his cruelty either. For those that say voting doesn't matter, have you ever looked up what voting history and things have been put in place that affect you day to day? Every single thing in your life is a policy that was voted on by somebody at some point in time. From the underwear and the panty drawers you and your wife wear, to the fluoride on your teeth, to the fluoride in your water, to the way your house is built. Everything has a policy that was voted on, and it's just a matter of which party votes for the majority of everybody and not just upholds and gives power and consolidates power to the top richest 1%, which is the Republican damn party. Post your comments, man. Let me know. We've got a lot of work to do. Democrats, you have got to get on your shit. Starting with education. You've got to get in school so that these little minds aren't being trampled on by religion. That makes them more susceptible to the whims of con people. You know, the whole Robin Hood situation, the whole Pied Piper situation, because they don't know how to critically think. Republicans have played the long game, and Democrats, if you don't start doing that, we're going to become a fascist nation. We're going to become what happened to the Greeks. We're going to become that. You have got to have a backbone, stand up, start upholding laws and putting new laws in place after going through what we're going through. It's just an atrocity. Main story I wanted to cover today, ladies and gentlemen, is a billionaire that I thought was smart because he voted for Kamala. And come to find out, he's just a run-of-the-mill billionaire. It's all about the money for him. Mark Cuban, ladies and gentlemen, voted for Kamala, has came out and talked about how horrible Trump is as a person with money, as a person dealing with democracy, has railed against him, but took his ass to the White House yesterday, let Trump belittle him, and then came out, and you could tell he had a chip on his shoulders, Mark did, and made a statement on Twitter or X somewhere, then he deleted it, but we have it. But before we get into what he said yesterday, let's talk about what Mark has said about Trump in the past. Take a look at this.
And I tried to explain it to him. It was just, there was no point. And so as time went on, it got to the point where it was obvious he wasn't making an effort to learn. One time I went on TV on CNN and criticized him, and he sent me a note. So the way Donald Trump sends a note is one of his assistants would email me, and I would respond to the email, and then she would print out the email. He would write on the email, scan it. I would get a copy of the scan. Efficiency at its best. He sent it back in that format, and he said, after I criticized him, what happened? And I'm like, Donald, I've told you, at some point, you've got to learn the issues. And that was last time I talked to him.
So you called Trump not very smart. I know Mark Cuban well. He backed me big time, but I wasn't interested in taking all of his calls. He's not smart enough to run for president. Who's smarter, you or Trump?
It's like asking me if I'm smarter than a ham sandwich.
Well, we thought you were smarter than a ham sandwich. And folks, make no mistake, that's another myth. Just because you've made a lot of money does not mean you're smart across the board on every subject. It does not mean you have common sense either. It doesn't. And it certainly doesn't mean you have sympathy and apathy for folks at all. So to prove to you that he's not smarter than a ham sandwich, he had to go do this with Trump, talking about Trump RX.
For partnering with us on this effort, including the co-founder of Cost Plus Drugs, Mark Cuban. Mark, thank you very much. Mark, looking good, Mark. Come here, Mark. Nice to be here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We have the same thing, one thing in common. We want to make people better and keep them wealthy, right? Good to be with you.
Mr. President, I think other than you, I've been the biggest proponent of TrumpRx.com. And the reason for that is Republicans want cheaper drugs, independents want cheaper drugs, Democrats want.
Now, before I finish playing that, read what he's saying up there in the top right corner, left-hand corner. After the blowback hit him, he's up there talking about if people think I'm going to put politics. See, whenever you start talking that shit, ladies and gentlemen, you're already going down the used car. You got more wares than a appliance salesman speak. You know you're wrong. Read what he's saying up there in that corner, which tells you he knows he's insecure. He knows he's wrong. He only cares about his money. As you listen, read.
For partnering with us on this effort, including the co-founder of Cost Plus Drugs, Mark Cuban. Mark, thank you very much. Mark, looking good, Mark. Come here, Mark. Nice to be here. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We have the same thing, one thing in common. We want to make people better and keep them wealthy, right? Good to be with you.
Mr. President, I think other than you, I've been the biggest proponent of TrumpRx.com. And the reason for that is Republicans want cheaper drugs, independents want cheaper drugs, Democrats want cheaper drugs, and together, I think we're going to do something special. What makes Cost Plus Drugs different is that when you click through Trump RX to our site, not only will you see a great price, but you'll see our actual cost and that we only mark it up 15%. And what makes this incredible, Mr. President, all the volume and all the people that are going to come from the site, as our volumes go up, our costs go down, which means we'll be ending up charging less to people over a period of time. So this is a special announcement. This is a special partnership. 559 of those drugs are ours, so we're really excited to be part of this. Thank you so much for having me. And I'll turn it over to Chris Klump. Thank you. Thank you.
Did y'all see that load of horse squeeze, ladies and gentlemen? Just pure horse billionaire squeeze. This is all about the money. If you really and truly wanted people to have, first of all, let's go back through the whole. Let's listen to what Trump said. Keeping people, supporting people, and keeping them wealthy. Something along the lines of like. So was that a Freudian slip? Because the majority of people in America are not wealthy. He just told y'all who he's trying to help. He just told you that. He just told you that. If you really cared about the well-being of people, we would have healthcare free. Well, I hate it when people say those things are free because we're all paying into the tax system. So a better phrase would be you would have taxpayer-supported healthcare, taxpayer-supported childcare, taxpayer-supported time off, taxpayer-supported longer weeks for women to be away from work, instead of taxpayer-supported benefits to fucking billionaires who only use that money to go buy more private jets. See, folks, how this works? See how billionaires tell you socialism is bad, but they use socialized money from all of us to go and socialize their business opportunities. And if it fails, oh, fuck it. Oh, that wasn't my money. It was the taxpayers' money. How often do you get to do that, ladies and gentlemen? And so when I see Mark Cuban up here having an attitude and he posts a post, then he deletes it, where he's basically trying to attack everybody else because we got on him because he realized Trump was stupid. And now that there's an opportunity to make money, your ass is up there groveling like all these other billionaires and CEOs who have power. It makes you look crazy, Mark Cuban. It makes you look like the greedy, stereotyped billionaire. Now, having said that, folks, every billionaire is not bad. Maybe the way they accumulated their wealth had some trappings that are a little bad, but every billionaire on his face as a humanitarian is not bad. Warren Buffett comes to mind. A few others come to mind. Carl Icahn comes to mind. They're not bad human beings. But when you pair their behavior toward the people under them, how many people have they made rich? is a good barometer for a billionaire. How many people y'all think Trump has made rich? Damn sure ain't made nobody healthy. Look at him. This is atrocious, Mark Cuban. You know better. The only reason you're there bending the knee is for money. And it's not like it's going to make it any cheaper. Folks, let's take a read on the stats of this Trump RX plan. We don't need it, really. I mean, we could do so much better, but I'm going to share the screen because we're all about data on this channel. So let me get my screen ready and let's share it so you guys can see what's going on. There you go. So here it is. What is Trump RX? The basic idea: Americans pay way more for medicine than other countries, which is pathetic because remember, they keep telling us we're the richest country in the nation. Trump says drug companies and insurance middlemen are ripping off people. No different from what he's doing. Trump RX is supposed to cut out the middleman, show lower cash prices. Well, if it's cutting out the middleman, people, what the hell is Mark Cuban doing up there? Ain't he about to become a middleman with it? I don't know. Just asking the question. Why some people think it could work. Let's read the benefits here. People without insurance may save money. Doesn't definitively say it. People with high deductibles may pay less using oh God. So now you got to use cash, which is, folks, gas has gone up like 200% since March. People ain't got cash. Some drugs reportedly cost 50%, 70%, 90% less than listed price. Okay, that's good. Why critics are slamming it. So let's read this part. This is the part where MAGA is going to leave because they don't want to hear, read, or believe anything that throws criticism toward the way of those that are feeding them hate instead of food on their plate. This isn't really new. Critics argue Trump RX mostly redirects people to services that already exist. Many say good RX already does exist. Others point out Mark Cuban's cost-plus drugs already offered many cheap generics before Trump RX existed. And so now Mark Cuban wants to partner with Trump so they can have that huge network together. Bottom line, we need to make money. And folks, a cheaper alternative than all this shit. Order your drugs from Canada. Order your drugs from overseas. You will pay pennies on a dollar if you do that. Trust me, I'm an asthmatic, still an asthmatic, I know. Some drugs are, look, it's basically telling you what I just said. Some drugs are actually cheaper elsewhere. Investigations found many drugs listed on Trump RX were already available cheaper through generic programs elsewhere. Some critics say the administration exaggerated savings. Well, we know that's all Trump and MAGA does. They exaggerate everything. This is the grandest party. This is the biggest ever. We did this better than anybody else. That's all those fuckers do is grandstand, and that should be a lie to you. It doesn't fix the real healthcare system, critics argue. This does not create universal healthcare. Nope. It does not cap all drug prices. Nope. Does not lower insurance premiums for everyone. Nope. Does not stop pharmaceutical price gouging entirely. Nope. It mainly helps cash-paying customers. I can't make this stuff up, ladies and gentlemen. I can't make this stuff up. Really, you cannot make it up. Mark Cuban took his ass up there to shuck and jive and then turn around and have an attitude just for his bottom line. Folks, post your comments. Let me know what you think. This is, boy, Democrats, you have got to shed those centrists and get the people that is going to push this country back to at least the middle. We're nowhere near the middle. We're so far right, I can't turn my head left. We need that kind of push quickly. Midterms coming soon. Last story we're going to cover, folks. I try to end usually my videos with some comedy after going through some of this stuff. But today, folks, it's going to be a little comedy and a little Black history. This one comes to us from my boy Godfrey. He's going on tour and he's very funny. He does a great job of blending politics with the issues going on with minorities. And he found a good one, Black History Note, about some very, very intelligent Black people that basically came up with some AI a long time ago. Take a look.
Yo, Black History, check it out. I call it Black History because when they hide information, I go, Black History. Listen, This guy, David Blackwell, I didn't know this. I just found this out. And he's like the godfather of artificial intelligence. I was like, wow, not surprised, but wow, some more shit that they hid. And he there's a chip named after him, a chip named after David Blackwell. So he was very innovative in technology, and he was a genius. And while you're watching this video, there's pictures of him, and people couldn't believe that it was him. When they saw a picture, they said, that he can't be the guy. He can't be the guy. And you know why they said that, right? But there's a chip called the Blackwell chip named after David Blackwell. I just want to give a shout out to David Blackwell. This is another moment in history. Remember, it's American history, guys. It's American history. And this is nothing new with black people being innovators in science that they didn't tell you about. You understand? Like Otis Boykin with the pacemaker. You got Daniel Hale, first open heart surgery. You got Charles Drew, plasma. Yo, black folks, man, are fantastic. And there's Dr. Iguali. You know what I'm saying? Dr. Iguali, yeah, he was like, he invented the supercomputer, which led to the internet. Nigerian guy. But it's all black history. All right? Whether it's an African, whether it's a Caribbean, whether it doesn't matter, black American, it's black history, but it's really American history. But shout out to David Blackwell.
So anybody that follows me for my stock trading, and if you don't, you should. I go stock trading each and every day, 9:35. You actually see me pick the stocks. You actually see my wins, my losses, all that. There's a company called NVIDIA, and they are making this new super conductive processing chip called the Blackwell, named after that gentleman. I've been knowing that, but a lot of people don't know it, and they don't teach it in school, because if they taught the real history of how this nation started, more people would be more sympathetic to other people, fellow neighbors of all shades, all grades, all colors. Not just blacks, Hispanics, natives. And Republicans do not want that, because if everybody was to galvanize and come together against the power of the 1% who controls 80% of the wealth in this country would have to start giving up some of that fucking financial pie. And they do not want that. Not only do they get the financial pie, but they also get the power pie. And they don't want to give up any of it. And too many of us are always choosing hate over food on our plate, because some of those people wouldn't know what to do with the power, because the Republican mantra has got these people thinking that it is just fine to be a fucking worker bee. If I'm told to do something, I don't question it. I don't answer it. When no Republican in power does that shit. Not a single one. And we can break this cycle by getting into schools and putting in real education. Everybody should know some of these people now. I mean, tech is so big right now. There needs to be probably some kind of computer programming, computer science class that goes through the history of how tech innovations have powered this new generation. But we're not getting that, because they don't want you to know. The more you know, the more informed you are, the less likely you are to vote for socialism for the rich and have your money socialized by everybody and not just the one top percent. Yes, it's true, folks. Socialism kills. And guess who's doing the most killing? The top 1% that have been socializing all of our money and not letting us do the same thing. So, folks, that is going to do it for me. I will chop up some of these videos and break them down so that you can see them individually by the end of the day. Don't forget to like the video, comment, subscribe. Anytime you want to get some comments up here, I do try to read them. But if you really want to get my attention, leave me a super chat, man, and I'll read it on air. I am going to start doing shows at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. at night, bringing on various guest people I'm trying to reach out to and get on the show. Kevin Nash from wrestling, Bret the Hitman Hart from wrestling. I've got a lady that's a dominatrix who has worked with a lot of people behind the scenes in the Republican Party. So sometime next week, possibly Monday, I might have that group on live 8 p.m. Monday. And so I will start doing some of these live videos at night too. So the best thing you can do is keep the notifications on so that you never miss them. And if you do miss them, you can catch the replay. Until that next sexy as hell video, people, stay up, stay critically thought, and try to encourage fellow neighbors who seem like they're lost. I'm out.
Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body. Somebody's bleach blonde, bad built butch body.